Good morning, my dear children. How are you? Fine. All are staying safe. Okay. Are you all doing exercise? Then drinking enough water. Seeing in the vehicle sound is there, little bit excuse for me. Okay. Okay, my dear children. So last class we have discussed with the chapter microorganisms, friend and foe. So this is our last session of the chapter microorganisms. Okay. So I will just have a recall of the portion microorganisms. You just listen it. Okay. And try to recall in your mind as well. Okay. So in the previous classes we have discussed with what is microorganism, then how it can be seen, then where do they live, then we have discussed with the friendly microorganisms, then harmful microorganisms. Up to there we have reached, is it? So what do you mean by this microorganisms? Do you remember? Yes, those organisms which we can see only with the help of microscope, or the organisms which we cannot see with our naked eyes, it is called as microorganism. So how it can be visible? It can be seen only with the help of microscope, that we have discussed. Yes. So it's very tiny organism, that is why we cannot see with our naked eyes. Then where do they live? Microorganisms, where do they live? Yes, they live in the hot deserts, mountains, plains, valleys, rivers, everywhere. Even the very cold climate they can survive, is it? Remember, no? Okay, then what are the divisions of these microorganisms? Do you remember? Yes, microorganisms are divided into bacteria, fungi, protozoa, algae, and finally with the virus. Remember, no? Okay. So we have discussed many things in the bacteria, that is single celled, so it is called as unicellular. Then it is of different shapes, rod shape, spiral shape, then round shape. All these things we have discussed. Then I told you about one example also in the case of bacteria. Do you remember what it is? E. coli. Yes, in the case of bacteria I have discussed with that name. Then we move to the fungus. Fungus also we have discussed with many of this bread mold, then yeast, mushroom. All these we have discussed in the case of fungus, and it can be visible in colonies. Do you remember all this? Yes. Okay, then what is next? Protozoa. Yes, that also we have discussed. It is heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means depend on others for the food. Then what all things? Mostly they found in water. Then we discussed about the algae. Do you remember what it is, algae? Yes, that green layer on the surface of the water. That is what the algae. That also we have been discussed. Then next is the virus. That also I think you are getting it, because I told that virus has a fascinating character. That means it lie on the border line of the living, and when it is active, it is active only when they are in the living body. It is inactive in outside the living body. That is why I told that it lie in the border line of the living and non-living. Children, is it clear? Because of the vehicle, please kindly excuse for these voice. Okay. So all these things we have discussed in the previous class, so nothing more to tell. Okay. Anyway, I am concluding this. I am winding up this chapter for this class. So I am explaining all these things once again. So got it, children? Then we discussed with the friendly microorganism. Okay. So what is that? Friendly microorganism. We have discussed many usefulness of this friendly microorganism. What are they? Yes, these microorganisms are used in the making of the production of alcohol. The commercial purpose. It is used in the large scale. We have discussed with here in the production of alcohol, then making of bread, wine. All these things we have discussed. And I told you about the curd, converting milk to curd. Who is that bacteria acting there? Do you remember? Yes, lactobacillus. What is that? Lactobacillus is the bacteria which helps the conversion of milk to curd. Okay. So in the case of yeast, I told you that yeast, that duff will rise up because the yeast will respire. When we add that yeast in the duff, that yeast will active when it is in contact with the sugar, that natural sugar. So what happens there? The yeast will respire, so the carbon dioxide bubbles will make the dough to rise up. Okay, so when this yeast, when we are adding it in the warm water, and when we add some sugar also, so what is their action? Yes, fermentation. What is it? Fermentation. Okay, so who is that scientist who found this fermentation? Louis Pasteur. What is fermentation? The process of conversion of sugar into alcohol. That means when we add this yeast and sugar in warm water, we can feel the smell of alcohol. So actually, what is that process going on there? Fermentation. Got it, children? Okay, that is what I have to tell you about the fermentation. Then microorganisms are used for the cleaning up of the environment. All these purpose we have discussed in the previous class. Got it, children? No? So we have discussed many things with the friendly microorganisms. In that friendly microorganisms, do you remember about the antibiotics? Is it so? So antibiotics, do you remember the name of the antibiotics? Streptomycin, tetracycline, erythromycin. All these are the common uses of this microorganisms. We have learned many, is it? And for the decaying, when we throw something to the soil, that also microorganisms will make the things to decay, and that will be replenished in the soil itself. All these things we have discussed. Now after that we move to the harmful microorganisms. Harmful microorganisms, do you remember what name I told you? The disease causing microorganisms are called pathogens. Yes, what is it? Pathogens. Okay. Then we have discussed with the carriers, all those things you remember. The disease causing some microorganisms that cause diseases in humans, then in animals, then in plants. All these things we have discussed. So that's all for the previous class portions what I have revised here. Now today's topic, what is it? About the food preservation, then nitrogen fixation, and also with the nitrogen cycle. So I think this class will be very interesting to you because of the comic pictures I have added here. So don't miss this portion. Watch it very carefully with the topics: food preservation, nitrogen fixation, nitrogen cycle. Very interesting. Okay. So listen carefully and don't forget to recall all these things in your mind. Okay. So children, watch it very carefully. So let's begin. Let me ask you a few things. What happens when we keep the leftover food on the table for the entire night? When we see the container in the morning, we find that it is shared by some new members, is it? Yes, along with the food, we even find fungus growing in the container. So what do we do in such cases? Definitely we throw away, is it? We cannot use it. So this is because if we consume the food shed by fungus, then we may encounter a variety of health issues. This happens because the food has now turned into a poison for us. Got it, children? So how can the delicious food of the previous night turn poisonous this morning? That's true only with the mere presence of fungi. Okay, so in fact that fungi grow over it, and it's enough to explain this. Yes, when microbes of any type take over our food, they release certain substances in it, and these substances are quite toxic for us, and hence we say that the food has turned poisonous. So this gets as the concept of food poisoning. Got it, children? So food poisoning, also called foodborne illness, is illness caused by eating contaminated food. Infectious organisms including bacteria, viruses and parasites or their toxins are the most common causes of food poisoning. Okay? I think you have understood with this food poisoning. Is it? Okay, so can we save our food from spoiling by interrupting these chemical reactions? Of course we can, and the only way to do this is by inhibiting the microbial growth or simply killing these microbes. Either ways, we do not allow the toxic secretions to enter our food. Can you follow? But how can this be achieved? Yes, there were several ways of carrying out food preservation. Got it now? So, what is this food preservation? The food material like milk, fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, and cooked food get spoiled easily. So, the process in which the food materials are given a suitable physical or chemical treatment to prevent their spoilage is called food preservation. Now, got it, children? So, we are taking care of our food. Now, a few methods have been carried out since ages, while some have been recently developed. Let's have a glance at the chemical methods of this food preservation. We always find our grandma adding, or even your mother adding, lots of salt and oil to the pickle. She makes every year, and the pickle she makes every year. If you notice, that tastes the same throughout the year. Am I right? I also love pickle. Have you ever wondered how this happens? Well, this is an ancient method of food preservation that we use. Adding commodities like salt, oil, and vinegar arrest the growth of microbes in the food. Okay, so even if microbes attack a food, they get killed. Children, are you getting it? I'm saying about that. When you think of your, what is it? Salting, when you take the mangoes and you put salt in it, more salt, it feel very tasty. Oh, now some of the children's mouth with water, I think so. Okay, anyway, let's learn about it. So among all, salt is the most commonly and widely used. Not only pickles, but salt is also used for preservation of meat and fishes. Yes, salting of fish and meat followed by drying them in the sun can preserve them for many months. That's it. Okay. So next, you must have observed jams and jellies and are added with wholesome amount of sugar. Have you noticed that? Yes, because sugar is also used as a preservative. Apart from making the jams and jellies, sweet sugar also inhibits the microbial growth in it. Okay, children? So, what about the food items manufactured on a large scale? That cannot be prevented by these salting small techniques. So, what is that? In such cases, a few chemicals come to our help. Apart from salting, oiling, or adding sugar, we have certain chemicals that can be added to the food in order to preserve it. So, the most commonly used chemicals include sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfite. Okay, so these prevent the growth of microbes in our food. And when the food items can be saved by these chemicals? So we can add them to squashes, fruit juices, and even certain fruit jams. Okay. So have you ever thought of adding salt, oil to preserve milk? How will you add sugar or vinegar to fruits and vegetables? So we have to think a lot of this food preservation. Okay, children. So these cannot be prevented or preserved by any chemical treatment for them. So we need physical methods. So we have the refrigerator to keep vegetables, fruits, and cooked food fresh for a long time. You may be knowing that, no? Then how to keep our milk safe? Yes, because maybe you have heard this before. Have you seen that gymnastics or someone drinking the milk without boiling? Because the milk is pasteurized. What is this pasteurized or pasteurization? So, pasteurization is a method to prevent spoiling the milk if we heat the milk at 60 degrees Celsius and then rapidly cool it. So, it will not get spoiled. Got it, children? Okay, so this method of preservation is called pasteurization. And who invented this process? Louis Pasteur. Do you remember the Louis Pasteur have invented one more thing? Fermentation. Yes, very good. Okay, so then other cereals like wheat and maize are also kept safe in the tight containers or in big containers. Okay, so it can be saved. Got it, children? Then dry fruits and all these, then your lace, potato chips, all these are dried in the sun, and then later only they are making it as edible for us to have it. Got it? So these are the different techniques for the food preservation. Now I'll say conclude this food preservation by saying all the methods. Preservation by common salt, preservation by sugar, preservation by oil and vinegar, then heat and cold treatment. In that, pasteurization is there, then storage and packing. Got it, children? So that's all for the food preservation. Clear? Now next we move to the nitrogen fixation and also with the nitrogen cycle. Hi, I am atmospheric nitrogen. I constitute about 78% of the air. Oh no, it's time for nitrogen cycle. So I'm going to give that plant nitrogen. I am flying to move to that plant. Oh, that's a leguminous plant. Leguminous plants, pea plants. How you came here? You don't know that atmospheric nitrogen cannot be used directly by plants and animals? No entry here, so go to my roots. So nitrogen needs to get converted to nitrogenous compounds. So this process is called nitrogen fixation. Come on, go to my roots. Leguminous plants have the root nodules. In the root nodules, rhizobium. Hi, I am Rhizobium bacterium. I live in the root nodules of leguminous plants. Now I am going to convert nitrogen to ammonia. I am going to convert nitrogen to ammonia. You can see the ammonia now. Ammonia NH3. So the rhizobium converts ammonia So we are the nitrifying bacteria. We are going to convert ammonia to nitrites and then nitrates. We are going to convert ammonia to nitrates and nitrites. Yes, we got it. So nitrifying bacteria converts that. Now nitrogen fixation can also occur by lightning strikes. So there are also nitrogenous compounds formed. Children, you are getting it now? So now the roots can absorb these nitrogenous compounds. That is, plants take these nitrates from the soil. Now plants use these nitrates to make proteins. There is an animal waiting for me. Come on, have it. Animals eat plants to get proteins. Oh no. Dead plants and animals' excreta contain nitrogenous waste. So when over time these waste decay and ammonia is released. So ammonia then again get converted. Yes, then again they get converted into ammonia into nitrates by the help of nitrifying bacteria. Again, if it is the nitrates form, some plants again use this nitrates. Hello, we are denitrifying bacteria. We are going to convert these nitrates back to atmospheric nitrogen. Hi, we got it. Atmospheric nitrogen is there. Nitrogen gas goes back to the atmosphere. Hence, my percentage in air remains constant. Yahoo! Children, I believe you have understood. Now see the cycle. Once the atmospheric nitrogen gets converted by this rhizobium and it forms the ammonia, then nitrifying bacteria converts to nitrates. Then that is used by the plants. Then that is used by the animals. Then nitrogenous waste will be formed. Then again that decay, then ammonia is formed. Again that will be converted to nitrates by the nitrifying bacteria. And some the nitrogen compounds will be converted again to atmospheric nitrogen by the denitrifying bacteria.